Hello everyone, Darren here, and welcome back to Satisfactory. Now in the last few episodes, I've been tirelessly working towards getting my computer and circuit board factory up to its full capacity. But of course, this has required getting all of the underlying components necessary produced in their sufficient amounts in all across the map. You know, all the different factories that we've gotten, and then the transport network we built, the railway, in order to bring everything here. And all of this has been in service of a goal that I feel like I've sort of lost sight of for a while. We've been so bogged down in building these factories that I forgot. Of course, we're working towards the next space elevator phase, which will unlock Tier 7 and beyond for us. Now, I'm pleased to say, of the 3 components that are needed to get to the next phase of the space elevator phase, we've actually done one of them already, which is producing versatile frames. I believe we needed 2,500 versatile framework is the actual name of the good. So we've got that. We've had that on the go for quite a while back in the steel refinery that I built many episodes ago, and I've just been dropping modular frames every time the kind of storage container fills up from that. Just pick them up, dump them in the other place, and let that thing run in the background. So that's been going the whole time. I've been doing like the last 10 episodes. We've got tons of those in the background. That's all well and good. The next one we're going to be tackling in this episode. So we're finally going to make a dent again towards the next space elevator phase. So on the right hand side of the screen, we have our to-do list for this episode. The first task is going to be to expand the heavy oil residue buffers over at the oil refinery, the oil processing plant. So over there, in the previous episode, we built in a new room, 20 new plastic refineries, a new extraction for a crude oil deposit, all going very well. It just gets backed up a little bit quick because we're not yet dealing with the heavy oil residue. Some people provided some solutions to that in the comments of the previous episode. I do appreciate it, but we're just going to leave it and store it and flush it just for the time being. But we'll get to that when we get over there. The other thing would be then starting work on making modular engines, which is component number 2 for our space elevator phase. That's where we're finally going to make that dent in the progression for it. And once we get computers and stuff up and running here, that's going to then allow us to, well, we have to do heavy modular frames, but that's going to be then the 3rd component. And then we'll be able to send it all up to fix it, or to let them do whatever they do with it, and we'll be able to progress. So the other things to get to that stage would be updating the screw factory, building a cable factory, updating the train station that kind of encapsulates all of that, and then getting the transport route working. I'll go over it in more detail as we get to it. I just thought really quickly here, as it's nighttime, I'll show off the factory, the Circuit City factory, where we make our circuit boards and our computers. In between episodes, I obviously try to go around and clean up and add little things here and there, try to make things look a little bit nicer as well. So here, I've actually added in the lights to the roof. I think it looks quite good. They're pretty seamlessly positioned onto the roof. You wouldn't even really know like where it's coming from, except for that damn cable. So next time, I'll probably rotate them around, or I might do some updating it in the future. I just decided to leave it for now because there's actually a glitch or a bug with it. I won't spend too long on it. I just want to get to the gameplay, but the long story short is its intensity seems to be set to 0. It's not actually emitting any light other than what's on it. They're almost like those LED things or the labels or the signs. It's not actually producing light. You can see that there's no like light on the concrete, you know, next to it. It's just dark. And I've tried turning them on and off, or disconnecting them, reconnecting them, building fresh ones, and sometimes they kind of work and then sometimes they don't. I think what's happening is that these lights are attached to a light switch, and the light switch is then attached to a power switch in here in the control room. And that's messing with the intensity of these ones as well. So some of them are at 100 intensity, and I can't change it, and some of them are at 0, and I don't know why. None of the switches are at that, so it shouldn't really be that way. So I'll have to go around and check my wiring and maybe see if there's some known bug about trying to hook them up to power switches. That could be the problem, because the idea was that here you can pull this switch and say the factory lights can all go off, but the hallway lights can stay on. So that's the only 2 things that are separated, hallway lights and factory lights. We'll just leave it all on for the moment. Of course, then we have our manufacturers A to E. They're all off at the moment. And then the assemblers 1 to 12 are all on. I then put in this factory override because people asked me to, which is if I ever just want to power off the entire factory, we can pull that. That knocks off all of these switches, and all of these switches are in control of every machine and all the lights. So everything basically goes off. And that's there, I suppose, because it's nice to have it, but also just in case we ever wanted to, if I run out of power and I'm like, look, I just need to power down a few different things for a while. You can just pull that switch and knock the whole place off. doubt I'll ever really pull it. I feel like if I am running into power problems, I'll knock a few of the machines off, but not the whole building. But maybe, who knows? At least it's there. Other than that, not much else has changed. Hooked up the lights in this room, so it's looking a bit better now. I think the place looks pretty good. I'll just pull back a little bit there, keep still for a moment. So all of this is flowing perfectly fine now. We have our plastic coming in regularly, our quick wire. Seems to be no end to the amount of circuit boards we're going to be producing here. Like, we've met the requirements, basically. And I added a faster belt underneath so that it just flows out a bit quicker into our little storage area, which is totally temporary. Just have one big storage box, and then I loaded up an awesome sink here just to get rid of it all. So we're not really storing anything. Once we start making computers, these circuit boards are going to go upstairs to the logistical floor above us, and then back down and be fed into the various manufacturers that we have. We have 5 manufacturers, A to E, and I've got these low-hanging signs now just to let us know which one is which, in case we ever do go to the control room to turn them on or off. But obviously not running yet. So just for a refresher on what these require, we need circuit boards, cable, plastic, and screws. All of these things are currently being made. They're just not being delivered. So we're almost there to having computers coming out at a pretty decent rate. And that's so that we can then eventually just go for the adaptive control unit, which is going to require circuit boards again and computers, as well as heavy modular frames and automated wiring. The automated wiring, that's done. We just need heavy modular frames. We need something dedicated to that. And I know that's a point of pain for a lot of people, so we'll see how I get on with it. All right, let's just get to the task at hand. There's nothing really else to see in here. We'll just head out, get in our buggy, go up to the oil processing plant, and start expanding the heavy oil residue buffers. So we should be there in just a sec. Alrighty, here we are then. So at the moment, we just have the one fluid buffer, 2,400 meters cubed of fuel, which you see it's just about to hit that limit. So I'm just going to drain the full pipe network. And this is going to flush all the liquid out of all the pipes that were dealing with heavy oil residue. So all of these machines can now just get running again. So obviously in between episodes as well, I've just added some beautification to the area. I've just kind of put in the glass floor paneling so you can kind of see what's going on down below. Hooked up the lights, put some walls on this place, you know, that's pretty much it. But there's still an open gap at the back and here as well, because there's probably going to be extra refineries built here to deal with all this heavy oil residue. But for now, I'm just going to put down industrial fluid buffers, store it all up that way, and it just buys us more time every time between flushes, basically. So there was some comments saying like, oh, you know, well, there's two things actually. Really, the refineries, you could sink. I'm getting ahead of myself. You could build refineries that take heavy oil residue, that turn it into petroleum coke, and they were saying that way you actually sink the petroleum coke. It's not about using it, it's just about being able to get rid of it. You can't sink liquids at the moment. You could package them, I suppose, and then sink them that way, I think. But I don't want to really be sinking anything except for overflow. So what I'm going to end up building is some refineries that take the heavy oil residue and then make fuel as a byproduct. And I'll store the fuel and put it away or do something with it and then sink any overflow instead of just getting rid of the... It seems like an awful waste to build machines dedicated to just getting rid of stuff. I don't know, that seems strange to me. But, you know, for the time being, we'll just come up here, we'll just drain this thing every time we need to. But good suggestion nevertheless. You know, that is something you can do with petroleum coke if you don't want to use it. You could just sink it, right? It turns liquid into sinkable material. The other thing was, I do say for now a lot. I say like, oh yeah, I'll get back to this. We'll get back to this. I'll build refineries. We'll do stuff. This is just temporary. I do say that a lot, but there's two things. You get a lot of comments saying like, oh, I like this playthrough because he actually does go back to the things he says he will, which is good for the most part. But also, someone else said, oh, it'd be great if you just dedicated an episode to going through all the different things that you've left by the wayside to get back to later. And that's a pretty cool idea. I think when I get to the next space elevator phase, so we get to tier 7, it'll give me some time to kind of work out the different things that I want to get done. And then in that time, I can just dedicate an episode to going around fixing up a lot of the places, like smoothing, optimizing. Let's call it optimization. Alright, so we've expanded the heavy oil residue buffers, so let's just mark that off our to-do. The next one would be start making modular engines. So this is kind of temporary. I'm not building a factory dedicated to doing it until I get to the next phase, because I don't necessarily know what's going to be needed. But in here, I've taken out all of the rubber, or almost all of the rubber, out of our storage bins. I've loaded up a truck with rubber, as that's going to be part of the components that we need for this. And we're just going to drive it down and build a manufacturer and load it in kind of manually. And then just let that manufacturer run in the background, and that will make the modular engines. So the other components we need for a modular engine are motors. Of course, we have a motor factory, a big motor factory. And smart plating. And we built smart plating in our original iron factory a long time ago. So we've just got containers full of this stuff, waiting to be all brought together somewhere. Now, I could have maybe hooked up a train to do this, but it just seems things are going to be moved around eventually, so... And in not that long, really, when I hit that next space elevator phase. So for now, just going to drive it down, we'll build this manufacturer, load all this stuff in, let it run in the background, while I get the real transport logistics up and running for the computers. Alright. Alrighty, so this is as good a spot as any. It's a bit of flat terrain that we can just build the manufacturer at. Do we need foundations? I suppose we should. So let's maybe just get some foundations out really quickly. Maybe we can make it bigger. And just supercross, I don't know, 5 by 5, and we can just extend it if we need to. Alright, cool. So let's just fill this in. Now, we have our truck full of rubber. We need to make a storage. So, what way should I do it? I guess we could have 3 truck stations that just handle this stuff. That would be a good thing to do, right? Truck station. Use a Mark IV belt just to get everything out of these stations. Okay. And then we'll just set this to be modular engine, so motors, rubber, and smart plating. Cool. We've got power poles right here, so let's just grab this one. Hook to that. Hook to that. Okay, everything's got power. I'm going to also just boost this. There we go. So we can make a little bit more. And then I'll just make a container here as well to store it. We need 500. I don't know how much stores in a stack, but we'll just do this. Go like that. Super clean, right? Totally fine. Modular engines. Alright, now we just get in our truck. We'll just make a couple trips here. We'll just unload straight up into that. It doesn't even matter which one we go to. I guess I'll go to the most awkward one first. So just turn around this way. Stop here. Oh my god, it's taken from the middle. Okay. Whatever. There it goes. We'll just wait for that to completely unload. You can just see the little bar down in the bottom right. So once that's done, that's just going to take everything, all the rubber out of this. Then we can just go drive, get the motors just over there in the motor factory right in front of us. Come back, pop it into another vehicle station. I could have done them in the same station, I guess, and had a smart splitter go into 3 different boxes maybe. But I don't know. This is probably just quicker this way. Alright, cool. So we're emptied out. Just going to quickly drive over to the motor factory. I made a little temporary bridge. I'm not sure if I can actually... you can use it to drive back. I don't think I can use it to drive there. Alright, here we are. So basically, I had made a little truck station here for me already. And just hooked up everything just so we could like literally load this stuff. But I thought it would be good to do it in sort of one journey. So that should start filling. There we go. You can see the motors flooding into the manufacturer as well. So the last one is just the smart plating, and then we're done. And we can leave this just to make its stuff for a little while. We'll have a look at the first few modular engines that come out, because I've never made them before. Alright, so for the smart plating, which is just located here, I don't have a truck station for it. So what I'm going to do is just make a personal box and dump my stuff in here. Take out the smart plating, which is there. So this factory will be powered back on again. Hope the power network can handle it, actually. We'll just load this into the back of the truck. There we go. And just pick our stuff back up again. Alright, now we just drive back. We'll unload the smart plating on the right side. And we should start making our first stuff. Just Gotta make sure I hit that right side. Alright, there we go. So now and we've boosted it as well, so hopefully the power network can handle it. I'll just have to have a quick look, because turning on the other factories and turning this on, even though I've just expanded power, still might not be enough, but let's see. So, our max consumption, now that we've just added this new thing, is 6,490 megawatts. The capacity of our power network is 5,080. It's 4,800 right now, because that's all the fuel generators, but this will kick in, I assume, with the batteries and also with the potential for biofuel, right? But biofuel is offline right now until it needs it. So it's so funny, like seeing that's how, like, you know, half of our power, half of our machines are basically, like, at least in terms of power, are offline right now. I guess it's because we do have 5 dormant manufacturers as well. So there we go. We're making our first batch. There it is. It's not a heavy modular engine. It's just a modular engine. And we're making 2.5 per minute. So we need 500. So that's 250 minutes. So, you know, a few hours, and that'll be done. We'll have enough.
I strongly advise you to harvest this specimen.
No. Let's just say that that's done then. So we've started making modular engines. The next thing is going to be to update the screw factory. So this is our screw factory. And there was a few people saying like, oh no, you shouldn't really destroy your old stuff. Just make new stuff. But this is a special circumstance. Some stuff I'm going to be tearing down. Other stuff I'll leave there. This is a special circumstance because this factory in particular, if I left it running, it would be actually like inefficient. It takes up more power than what we're going to be building in its place. And what we're going to be building in its place is going to basically make the same. It'll make slightly less screws. Slightly. But actually have the capacity for more if we made more machines. So at the moment it makes screws. So if you remember this factory, we have got 5 floors to it. On the bottom floor, technically 6 I guess. Well, is it 0, 1, 2, 3, 4? Yeah, I guess so. 6 floors, if you count the bottom. So at the bottom we have all the smelters. You know, we take in the iron ore. We have trucks that can come in and do that. And then there's a smelting floor. We make iron ingots. We then press those into rods, and then we press those into screws. We can now, with our new recipe that we found, alternate cast screw, we just take it straight from the iron. So we can cut out the iron rods. So we don't need that. So we don't need 2 floors of this whole building. So what I'm going to do right now is basically just delete everything on this floor and everything on the floor below here. Because it's just not needed anymore. So then the floor below here, floor 3, this floor is now just going to be, instead of doing iron rods, we're going to change all the recipes here to screws. So it's 50 per minute. The normal recipe actually gives you 40 per minute. So let's just have a look real quickly. Alternate screw, 50 per minute. How many machines do I have already pre-baked on this floor? 1, 2, 3, 6, 12, 18. Let's go 18 times 50. So we're going to be making 900. Now I think at the moment we make 1,080. Based on the screws that are above us. Because remember, the floor gets wider as we go up. But the more interesting thing is how much iron are we going to take now? So previously, iron-wise, it was 15 times 12, right? Oh, no, sorry, times 18. There's 18 machines. So 270 iron is what we were using. 6, 12, 18. Yeah, 270 iron. Let's see how much iron we're going to be using now. So 12.5 per minute. So we're only going to be using 225. So if we go down a floor, actually down another floor, sorry. Here's our smelters. So we're going to have the capacity. Our smelters are going to get backed up basically because we're making 270, but we only need 225. So I could put in an extra 2 and kind of rework the entire factory. But I think to be a little lazy just here at first, I'm just going to leave it the way it is. Let the iron get a little backed up if it's gonna. Maybe underclock them if I wanted to really and balance it that way. Or just take one of them offline and let it all feed up and make the screws upstairs. So what I'm gonna do now is I'll probably cut this all out afterwards. But basically remove all the stuff that's in the floor above us and switch all of these to be cast screws instead. So I'll just stand back here, right around here. So let's do it. Alrighty, so it is done. Now, it was actually a lot more work involved than I thought in doing this, but basically, I've just applied the cast screw recipe to each of these constructors. But because of the way this factory is designed, it made the logistics on the floor below a little bit more tricky to work out. So previously, on the floor below, we were just taking iron rods out, and we were making just enough for one belt to be able to handle it. So basically, if you remember, on the left side, we have the resources being fed up. That's going to be iron ingots being fed up, and then coming down was iron rods. So every, that's just up and down for the 18 machines. Pretty straightforward, obviously. Also, I just noticed it's raining through here. That normally never really happens in this game. They usually block that off. Anyways, but because screws are made in a much higher volume than iron rods, it meant that I had to add in a second belt to take these things out. My best belt is 480 per minute. And we've got a row of 6, another row of 6, and another row of 6. So with each one making 50 times 18, we're making 900. So obviously divide that by 2, we get 450. Which means that's 9 machines, 9 constructors. So I had to get 2 separate belts that can take 450. So it meant lining up 9 machines. So these 6 are all merged onto this one belt. And then an additional 3. So you can see just here, there's a gap. So there's 1, 2, 3, plus the 6 that are over there. They all go onto their own line. And this line is then kept separate, and it just feeds out. So I actually did that in between, like, during the cut. Probably should have shown it and talked through it while I was doing it, but it was a bit messy while I was figuring stuff out when I realized that I would have to do that. But anyway, hopefully all the belts are Mark IV, so hopefully no more issues. I made sure that the elevators, at least going up, are Mark IV as well. So I think we'll be okay. The ones coming in is fine. The ones going up is more important. So then this other belt is the same thing, right? There's 9 constructors on that belt, so that should be 450 as well. They don't need to be going into mergers now anymore, but I just left it there anyway. A legacy merger. To make it look kind of nicer, so these 3 that are coming out the opposite angle, right? So they're all feeding out that way, but the switch meant that this one is now feeding out this way, so I have to go up and over just that little bit there, and then join on with this belt. So I made sure the belts are all upgraded everywhere I could, made sure the elevators are all upgraded, so hopefully that's all good, right? 450, 450, 2 separate belts for a total of 900 coming upstairs. So if we have a look upstairs, this is where we have our, well, we're just going to see it rising up through the glass paneling. I made sure that those are level 4 elevators now as well. And then they come up here. So level 4, and then it's going to have to go into a train station. But just to make sure this is working, what we're going to do is just cut this away, and we'll just feed them into boxes. Let's get this up and running and make sure it is working as intended. So that should be 900 per minute coming into 2 separate boxes, which is fine, right? Because our train station has 2 inputs. So we can have these 2 lines going into those 2 inputs. So let's make our first delivery. I'm going to have to get into the truck, go around and collect the iron ore, and then drop it off here and see if this place powers on correctly. Because we haven't used it in a while. It's been powered down for a while, and now we've changed its recipe, so it's kind of interesting to see if it all works out. Where did I leave my truck? I left it over... Oh, okay. Yeah, let's just run over. I'm actually kind of curious to see how many of those modular engines we made. That's still cranking them out. Looks like these are still backed up. Lots of rubber still backed up. Good to see. 100% efficiency, of course. Hasn't run out of anything just yet. Hey, there you go. We've made 85. You could do the math and see how long that took me now, if you wanted to. Some nerd out there is going to figure it out. All right, so let's... is this truck empty? Let's just double check. Yes, it is. All right, we'll just use this. Unfortunately, you can actually load paths. You can save different vehicle paths and stuff, and I'm going to be doing a path that I did before. I just didn't save it, so or I might have deleted it. So I'm just going to make a manual run, pick up this iron ore, and just do a manual drop-off. I just want to see it all kind of working, and then I can tick off the updated screw factory, and then we're going to work on building up the cable factory, and then I'll put the train station in place. I feel like when I've got everything unlocked, then what I'd love to do is set up like a rail network that picks up just all ore all over the map, and then send it to a massive smeltery. It doesn't have to be literally every oil deposit or ore deposit. I just mean like all the ore I need for whatever I want to do, like hit a bunch of different nodes, feed it all into a big train, and have this massive train run around the map and sort of collect all the ore that it needs. You know, I don't know, maybe you could have like 10 or 20 deposits worth, bring it to a mega smeltery, and then have it all done there, and then that gets distributed out to other places. That seems to be... Oh my god. Oh, are you kidding me? What now? I've never done that before, all because of this little fucker. A perfect flip. Well, I could just delete it, and then I can reset it, right? I'm gonna have to do that. Personal box, personal box. Let's just throw everything into here and into there. We can pick this up. That leaves a bit of a crate behind, but we'll just build another. Okay, that's loaded back. Put the fuel back in. Alright, that was embarrassing. I'm gonna have to get rid of these rocks. Do I have nobelisks with me, actually? I actually do. You just see the truck go flying. Anyway, alright, that's one cleared. We'll leave it at that. I got revenge. Alright, anyways. Let's park up, unload. We should see all this stuff start to flood in then. This should actually, yeah, just refueled right now. Nice. Alright, there we go. The ore. Now, I think I can get out and it still keeps unloading, right? Alright, there we go. The ore is going to be flooding up to our smeltery. You should start kicking into gear now. There we go. They're expanding. Oh, look at them go one by one. How good is that? The last ones are going to be a bit slower, but that was pretty cool. Alright, we'll go up another floor. Have a look at the logistics. And we should start seeing iron ingots come up here now in just a moment and getting distributed. So I'll just stand on this thing. Alright, there we go. The iron ingots are in place. This actually goes back to a comment someone wrote when I first designed this factory. They were saying like, oh, it's actually quite a modular factory. You could change the input completely and just change what all the constructors do and everything will still work. That's kind of the idea here. The only other change was those belts. Alright, so we'll just go up another floor. Where am I now? I'm on 2. And we should see, yep, there we go. Some of them are kicking into gear. In fact, I'll go back down and we can... Sorry if this is disorientating. We'll just have a look to see if those screws are coming out at a reasonable clip. 50 per minute. So you should start flooding along when the time gets done. There we go. And they go on the fast belt all along down that way. Yep, nice. I can see them going up and then out. So if we go upstairs... And there we go. In theory, this is going to be 450 per minute once we flood the machines with all that iron ingots and all that ore. And we're making more ingots than we need now. But there we go. They both seem to be working. I'll have to just look out for little blockages in the belts, but I'm pretty sure they're all level 4. Alright, we did it. So let's just knock that one off the to-do list. The screw factory has now been updated so that it takes in ore and produces cast screws. No need for iron rods. Using a lot less power because of that. And we can see most of the lights are on. Now out here, this is where our old truck station used to be to pull, to drive the screws away. But we don't have that anymore. We don't need it. Could maybe do something with that in the future, but really these screws should just get onto that rail network and be delivered where they need to go. So I have to I haven't really thought too much about how I'm going to join all this up, but in theory, this is going to have to join together. Can I stand on this? No, I can't. Ow. Yeah, so, well, the next thing anyway is to build our little cable factory. Do I have everything I need? I think so. So let's just head out this way. There's 2 copper deposits next to the Caterium refinery, right? We have a temporary train station there. I might move it to this side. Maybe. And the Caterium is just flowing up there. The quick wire is just flowing up there in a haphazard way. And that's working out fine. But what we want to do now is make cable and bring it up there as well. So we're going to have 5 computers. So if I just really quickly look up computer, that's 22.5. So 22.5 times 5. Our demand for cable is 112.5. Not that much. Not that much. 112.5. So we've got 2 deposits right here, conveniently placed next to our quick wire. So it stands to reason, make your wire here, make your quick wire there, make our screws, load them all onto the one train platform if we can, and then send it packing. So that's the goal. So let's get to work. Let's dance. Anyone else? Anyone else? Okay, good. Actually, while we're here and we've got some nobelisks, let's see if we can just detonate, get rid of a few of these rocks. Yeah, pretty good. Alright, let's just get rid of this last one here. Not that it's really going to be in the way, but I just don't like it. See you later. Okay, now we'll clear these ore deposits. These are impure nodes, by the way. Check them before the episode. So we're not going to be getting that much out of it. And I haven't actually worked this out, but let's see how much cable we can kind of get here. I know I called it wire a minute ago. I meant cable. So we need 112.5. Oh, you know what? I didn't bring the portable miners that we're going to need. Can I make an equipment workshop? Maybe we can make them here. I don't know. Can't even remember what you need for these things. Oh yeah, we're all good. No space in the inventory. Lies. Alright, so I think we need just 2, I want to say. Miner Mark 2. That needs 2 for 1. Okay. Yeah, well, I suppose let's put down a few little foundations. I'm going to try and make this kind of quick if I can. Alright, 2 Miner Mark 2s. How much are we getting out of the ground? 60. So 120 per minute. 120 per minute. Suppose let's get chopping. This is going to be in the way, isn't it? Alright, there we go. So that's going to be 4 smelters. They're going to be making 120 copper ingots. And then we're going to break that down to cable. Now, believe it or not, I can't even remember how to make cable. Does it have to go to wire first? It does, actually. Okay. So, wire it is. Alternate. Iron wire. Interesting. We'll just do this for now. But that's kind of interesting. We had spare iron over there. If you really wanted to bundle it all up into one place, that could be something you could do. Just extend this out here. So I'm thinking we go up another floor now. Seems to be the time to do it. So let's just add lovely walls to our basic box. About there. Something like that, and then we could just, like, yeah, box this off, send this stuff up a floor, and that could be the floor where all the constructors are. It's so annoying the way this clips out that way, but whatever. Just gonna have to live with it. Doesn't look that weird. But it's strange that it's on. Knowing what it is, it looks weird. But you could just think like, oh, it's just part of the building. Alright, we've got our big concrete dome again. Almost finished. So we'll just extend out the foundations this way. And the walls can go up. Okay, cool. We've basically hooked up and created iron ingots. So now we have to make a floor of constructors that are going to be making wire. So let me just double check that again, just really quickly. We've got a constructor. We want to make wire. We take in 15 per minute, so we need 2 for every smelter. So we need 8 constructors making the wire. Yeah, 8 constructors. Okay, 8 constructors are going to go upstairs, and I'll hook everything up with power. Alright, there we go. That's the cable factory. It's not powered on yet, and it's beautiful in its own way. A giant tea box thing. Ow. Hey. Hey. Oh, damn. Alright, anyway, it's hooked up to power, but it hasn't actually been switched on yet. I'll do that in just 1 second. I thought I should... Well, actually, let's power it on, then we can talk through what's happening. Boom. Alright, so we have our 2 Mark II miners, both cranking out 60 ore per minute for a combined 120. That's going to go into 4 smelters making copper ingots. 120 copper ingots per minute. That's going to then go up a floor. We'll just take this ladder, conveniently placed. Watch out for the cable. And that then comes up to 8 constructors, taking in the 15 ingots per minute and putting out 30 wire per minute. That then makes its way down to the final 4 constructors, which are taking in 60 wire and putting out 30 cable. So it should be load balanced, I think, once everything gets flowing. Then everything goes up the belts one more time, up through the trees. I don't want to get rid of the trees. Don't make me get rid of the trees. And then goes into this box. So we'll see how it all goes. The idea then would be that we then feed this up into the station, and there we go. We have cables arriving at our computer factory. As easy as that. The only other thing then will be getting those screws to come over. I suppose by now the screw factory is probably full up with stuff, so let's just fly over to that factory really quickly. We'll have a look at how many screws we produced, and then I'll start working out where this train station is going to go, or how it's going to be built, or if it needs to change. I think we have to go up to floor 4 to check our storage box. Boom, it's full already. Oh no, it's not quite. Hey, it's actually stopped. Oh, that was the amount of ore. Oh, we've drained the amount of ore and made ourselves 9,000 screws. Nice. Yeah, so obviously I haven't set up the truck on an automated delivery just yet. So it was just good to test it out. Seems to be working fine. Yeah, so I think, I hate to say it, but I think I'm going to do it temporarily and just add on to the station that's here. That'd be far quicker, and that'll give us the payoff in 1 episode of getting computers manufactured, really. So let's just check this now. Cable is coming in hot. It's going to be slow at first, but that's more than enough than what we need, so I'll have to go up there. I do have a ladder on the other side. Yeah, that'll take me up to the top. So I'll take the ladder up to the top. I'm going to just assess the situation and see if I can add on more stations to this. Should be able to. And we'll just feed a super long belt over carrying... Oh, I just realized I'm nearly out of fuel. Can I make it that last little bit? Oh, yes. What skill. Yeah, so I'll just see if I can add on 1, 2, 3 more of these for the cable and screws. And then the train line should just continue on to the computer factory. Right, so I thought it was worth mentioning just really quickly. I've just extended the train station here because obviously it's going to be picking up 3 things now, not just 1. But I just quickly went back to the computer factory and had a look. So what we need, the way that factory is laid out, it's Caterium, then plastic, then now we can do cable and screws. So I'm going to have to move this into that one. I think that's the way you have to do it in the game. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure, like, if a train is to pull up here, it stops at the station, and its freight cars need to be loaded kind of in the same way that you're going to unload them. I suppose you could just do it randomly and then have a sorting facility that kind of, you know, like if you end up taking 2 types of goods into 1 freight car, you could have a sorting smart splitter that kind of figures out what should go where. But it seems just better to forward plan it this way. If you know that a train is going to be coming by here that's going to another station, it needs to match its layout. I don't know how complicated that's going to get later on, but that's the way I'm doing it right now. I just thought it was worth mentioning that, as it's a pretty significant thing. I just had to make a stop here to get some encased industrial beams. This is the old steel factory. This is where I've been storing up all the versatile frames. So yeah, there we go. 2,400 in that box. There's 1,200 in that one, 870, 380, and 380. And I've just been manually feeding this thing with modular frames, and they get fed into here. Overclocked out of its mind. It's making 12.5 per minute. So it's been running nicely in the background, just creating Well, just basically making versatile frames for us, and then we have the automated wiring full up in that container as well. So that's going to be used for adaptive control units. Just thought I would show that off, just because, you know, it shows going back in time. When we built this factory, it was planned fairly well, that leaving it some time in the distance, or just leaving it some time in the background means that, like, yeah, it still pays off. Like, later on, we made stuff here that's still in use and still needed. So I'm pretty happy about that. I'm just still hooking up the train station. This is, speaking of good planning, the most ugly looking thing ever. Hooking it up to the raw materials that we're bringing in. So I want to attach the cables to this spot. This is why I needed more. I need to get another hanging elevator to come down and pick up the cable. And yeah, I'll just cut when it's kind of done. Alrighty, so I'm on the train. That's the Circuit City delivery train. It's got some quick wire on it right now. It's gonna then have plastic, it's gonna have screws, and then cable, or cable and screws. Can't remember exactly which way it works out. But I've basically told it to go to the station, so we'll see if it works. If we have a look at its path, the next place is South Junction, which we should be coming up on now. So I had a little bit of an issue with the signals. Hopefully it's okay. As we can see, the horrible conveyor belts that are leading out of the screw factory. The double line, each line carrying 450 screws when we're at capacity. This should just circle around, stop in, and get almost fully loaded and just be waiting on that plastic then. So there we go, South Junction. Just like that, leaving the second one blank, because that's for plastic, right? So we can see the screws flowing in, actually. Let's just hop off for a second. Alright, they're going over to pick up their stuff. 2,400 quick wire there, 8,000 screws, and 1,700 cable. We can actually see the cable being produced just down there. Our quick wire then flowing out as well. I think what might be nice to making this place look a little nicer is making a kind of a truck station that just gathers those materials instead of having to do the like long belts, and then just having a sort of a truck stop underneath here that feeds everything up. That might look a little bit better instead of having to connect it into one big building. But there we go, we've got quick wire and screws and cable. Excellent, looking great. I don't know why I'm jolting forward and back, but what I might just do while we're on this train, so we have screws. Do I have a color for screws? Not really. Let's just go with this and then brighten that up. So screws, it's gonna be there. It's almost the same as plastic, actually. Oh my god, I feel like I'm in Mission Impossible or Uncharted 2. Cable, it's just black, so let's go with black coloring. Or at least darkish gray, maybe. Alright, cool. So that'll kind of just represent the different things. So this truck should be heading to the processing plant next, I think, actually. Yeah, oil exports. So while it's doing that, I'm just going to hop off here. Let it do its thing. And we'll hook up the logistics for this place now. Right, here we are. So yeah, quick wire is flowing down really slowly. So is the screws. So this is where... Oh, sorry, not screws, plastic. This is where screws are coming in, and that's where cable's coming in. So we'll just hook up very quickly little belts. I guess we'll feed it in this way. Same as we did before. Okay, just get our nice thick belt. Get them to come in that way. So that way everything will unload and go into these things. So just make sure that these are set correctly. They are set to unload the train. Good. Alright, great. Awesome. So that train should be coming in pretty soon, actually, really. It's usually quite quick over there. You can actually see the other train waiting in the distance because it's very inefficient. Very inefficient indeed. But as it circles around, the other one should come in now. I suppose we should wait and see it come in. Feels like it's the right thing to do. And watch all the machines go out and grab everything. A full 4 cargo load freight car train, I guess. Here she is. Oh no, there's no plastic. You know why? The fluid buffers must be full again. That's how much time has passed. Holy crap. Alright, I'll have to go out and sort that out. But we got plastic here for now. I'm so sorry. I wanted to see all 4 come down at the same time. Maybe at the beginning of the next episode. But let's run downstairs. Go to logistics. So these are all the things that we need to hook up for all the computers to get running again. So it'll take me a little while, but let's just hook up all of these belts. So I think I'll do one, and then I'll show you what's got to happen. So we know that here's where it's coming down the screws, and that's where the cable's coming down. They need to feed into each of these evenly. So let's work it out. So something like this, an input, and then I'm going to have an input but raised to about there. And then on this side, the same thing but facing the other way, and like that. And that should give me what I need in order to lay the 4 goods out separately and not bump into each other or anything. So we're gonna have like splitters, yeah? Splitters like this, and then this one will go in line here but be raised, so we can get rid of that bit then. So these 2 belts can flow below, above and below each other, no problem. And the same on the other side. So hopefully that makes sense. So that's what I'm going to do here. We're going to break this plastic here, because it doesn't actually need to be fed into all those machines. It doesn't need to be split amongst all the assemblers. One of the lines can handle that. So this line can snap here and be fed off that way. So let's do it. Alrighty, I'm almost done. This is actually taking way longer than I thought, but basically, I've got a line of plastic coming this way, and then I merged the other plastic line so that it fed into the 2 rows of assemblers on the other side. So that should be okay. So the plastic's going to flow along down this way and go down into the computers. We've got the cable coming down, and then doing a very similar thing, but on the lower level. So there's only a lower level and an upper level. So upper level on this side is going to be plastic. Lower level on this side is going to be cable. Upper level on the other side, the left side, is meant for circuits, and then the lower level is meant for screws. Now there's 2 belts for screws because of, oops, I can get rid of that. There's 2 belts for screws because of course I can only do 480 per belt, and we need something like 650 to feed all five manufacturing machines making computers. So what I've done is I've got this one's going to be feeding into 3 of the machines, and then this line will feed the final 2. So I actually ran out of jetpack fuel as well, but basically we've got 4 floor holes with alternating up, down, like second level, first level elevators, and alternating facing left, facing right. And that's why I was able to, kind of get all the machines facing the right way. So the final thing to do is just pull down those 2 screw elevators. So we'll just pull one down like this, pull one down like that, and we'll just start sending these out. So let me just get this belt, and then we'll have to send the, what's it called, circuit boards up as well. So this needs to just join onto one of these. Hopefully this works first try as well. So there, 1, 2. Alright, so that's screws being distributed now on both lines. Hopefully it's not even, because there's only 5 machines, so it's not like 450 going into 3 and then another 450 going into 3. It's 450 going into 3 and then 450 going into 2. But it should keep them all running, and again, eventually it'll just get backfilled anyway. Seems like we are running out of plastic. I'm going to have to make a dash over to the oil processing plant as well in a moment, just to drain that heavy oil residue. The final thing, the reason there's no circuit boards up here is just because I have to connect it up. But it's almost done, and then we can just flip the switches and watch it all power on. So here we are, manufacturing A, B, C, and D, and E. Alright, so I've pulled that down, but I haven't actually hooked it up. So we've got a couple hundred in here. Let's go 6. Okay, that should be it. Now all we have to do is power on these machines, and they should kick into gear. If we just have a quick look, we can actually check. Yep, looks like they've all got what they need so far. All the belts and floor holes are working. So we'll just power these on, and then I'll make a dash over to the oil processing plant. So let's just start off slow. Let's just turn on A. Get the first one fed. And that'll be our first little batch of computers. Now, something I haven't done yet. Oh, it's so cool looking. Something I haven't done yet is actually hook up a storage box for the computers. I'll have to do that. Otherwise, they're just going to fill up here for now. That should be it. Let's just take a quick look at it. There we go. It's just getting its screws. I guess, do these screws need to fill up faster? That's 130 per minute, so yes, they do. They need at least this elevator coming down, so I'll have to improve that as well. But that should be the only one that needs a slightly faster elevator, I think. I'll just double check in a second. They'll need that upstairs as well, of course. But yeah, everything else is under 60, so standard level 1 elevator is fine. But this is 130, so even a level 2 is 120, it wouldn't cut it. Screws is just going to be running a bit short while it gets kind of backfilled. So yeah, so I'm just going to make a run out to there, flush the fluid buffers, then we'll come back, power on all the machines, and that should be it. Wow, yeah, that's crazy. I can't believe they're all full. I mean, it has been like 3 hours, I guess. So just drain that again. 4 of them. So what's that? 2, 4, 6, 8. About 1,000, roughly, meters cubed of heavy oil residue just gone to waste. Just leaking it all out into the water out there. But that should keep the plastic flowing. We should see plastic coming in again at Circuit City. It's going to drive back and basically fix that elevator issue, and then we should be good to go. Just thought I should mention really quickly as well, I've now changed these to Mark IV also, so they're Mark IV, and the ones that go downstairs are Mark III, so that should be fine. I think that's basically it. Now, the only thing left to automate is make that truck route, so it delivers ore to the screw factory. But then, technically, we are automated. Obviously, things are ham-fisted, looking a little crazy with the belts out there, but that means everything should be getting delivered now. We've made 6 computers. It's got cable, plastic, screws, and circuit boards. Now, the only thing that actually doesn't keep up, technically, is the circuit boards. we have 12 assemblers making them, but we actually need about 13 or 14. So I'll either extend this room out or just throw in a few overclockers and then this place is done. Either doesn't really matter. We have run out of plastic. The train's going to have to make a couple journeys just to get it. After I've flushed the heavy oil residue, we'll be making plenty of plastic in no time, more than enough. In fact, there should be... I'm surprised there wasn't even enough in storage, but I guess the assemblers burned through it. So if we just have a quick look at them, how are they going? They still got some in storage. They, you know, efficiency technically hasn't dropped. And there we go. We can actually see little bits of plastic falling down yet again. All working well. Okay, well, let's ramp this bad boy up. Let's turn on all the manufacturers. Alright, that is all 5 manufacturers are now on. And there we go, the belts are all falling. Goal is just to keep those belts looking full. But it should be fine. Once the train delivers another load of plastic, we'll be good to go. If I just have a quick look at where it is right now. Looks like it is just about to arrive at the South Junction station again to pick up all those different things. And then it's going to make another trip to oil processing plant, and then it'll come back to Circuit City. That's going to have to be it for the end of the episode, so that is, technically now speaking, just about 2.5 times 5? Yeah, it says 12 and a half. I'd say we're doing about 10 computers a minute. It's only the circuits that need a little bit of a boost to power. And then, of course, automate the truck and we're golden. Alright, so that is computer delivery. Next up, heavy modular frames. Totally easy from what I've heard. Alright, that's going to be it for me in this episode. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Hey guys, thank you very much for watching, and remember, if you want to support the channel directly, you can click the join button to become a channel member. Doing so will get your name in the credits, as well as loyalty badges and emotes to use in the comments. You'll also get exclusive access to my Discord, where there's dedicated channels for each series I'm doing, and it's a great place just to meet others and make some friends.